everyone, and welcome back. It's Monday and I love Mondays. Do you know why? It's because we meet here every Monday for Simply English. Let me introduce my guests today. It's again Rebecca and Diane. Thanks for joining us. Hi.
Thank you for having us.
Great to see you again. And as we were talking about school last week, I asked you to research some information about schools around the world. And I'm really curious about what you've read and what you can share with me. Ayan, would you like to start?
So, while doing some research, I found out that the Chinese schools have extremely long school days. They last from 8 hours up to 9 hours with only 1 hour of recess, I guess. And also that Canadian students do not receive letter grades until high school. Instead, they get report cards that say emerging, developing, proficient, or extending.
Interesting. Do you think that's helpful for students? Is it less stressful for a student? I mean, getting a 4 is quite rough, but knowing that your work is satisfactory sounds a bit better, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I feel like it's more okay than a 4.
Yeah, of course it is. You feel that you're good to a certain extent, right? It's not like you failed completely.
Yeah.
Okay. Rebecca, what do you have for us?
I've read that in the United States, high schools give students the opportunity to select their choice of courses from a vast list of subjects. This way, they are encouraged to complete their college degrees with their subject of interest. I've also researched on the Chinese educational system, as Ayan did, and I found out that the Chinese school is mandatory for 9 years. The students are required to complete at least middle school. Also, in Chinese schools, it is completely forbidden to for the students to use calculators, as in the United States do. Pupils are encouraged to think about everything themselves, quickly becoming math geniuses.
Interesting. Okay. So having a wide choice, a range of choices, elective courses, is what would probably make students more involved in their learning. On the one hand, they take responsibility for the choices they make, but that is also a sort of motivation. Learning becomes something you're really interested in. Yeah, there's no perfect education system, but of course we can find out bits of things that really work in other systems and probably try to bring them into our own. Interesting. We can move on, of course. And I'd like us to practice a bit vocabulary related to schools. We're going to start with an exercise in which we have words 1 to 10. They are all places in a school, and we're going to match these words with their definitions. These are sometimes just explanations or short definitions, and we're going to take turns. We'll start with Ayan. Ayan, which one would you say is the definition for the classroom?
I think F is a room where students have most of their lessons.
Good. Rebecca, hall. It's obviously a very big room. And what generally happens in a hall is that the whole school can assemble, right? So they can meet for assembly. Whenever, for instance, the principal has something to tell the students, where there's some kind of organization and they need to be addressed all at the same time, they all go to the hall. Rebecca, will you try the next one, the playground?
The playground would be an outside area where students go to play during breaks.
Right, Ayan, do you ever go to the playground in your breaks, during your breaks?
Well, I don't really do that because my school doesn't have a playground. It has like a very large backyard with some football, with a football
Pitch.
field and a basketball field.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of it.
All right. And it's your turn, Ayan. Ayan. Gym is short for gymnasium, and this describes...
A large room for exercising the body.
Right, good. A lab, and again, this is short for laboratory. Rebecca, is...
Would be E, a special room with scientific equipment where students can do experiments.
Good. Whenever you have the chemistry class, there's probably a chemistry lab in your school you can go to, or a biology lab, an IT lab. Good. Ayan, the staff room is...
G, the teacher's room.
Good. Teachers do need a place to hang around during the breaks, and not only. They generally have lockers and keep their things there ready for the class. The principal's office, Rebecca?
That would be the office of the principal or the head teacher.
Good. Principal and head teacher mean the same thing. Okay. The library, back to you, Ayan.
A quiet place to read and look things up.
Good. Well, it's important that we keep quiet when we go into the library. Otherwise, we would disturb everyone else working in the library. Medical room, Rebecca?
Is the doctor's office.
Whenever you have a problem and you need to see a doctor, there's usually a doctor in every school. And you can find the doctor in the medical room. And the canteen, just as Rebecca said earlier, is the place where students can have their lunch. Now, not all schools have canteens, of course, but some do, and that's a plus. We're now going to introduce a bit more vocabulary. This time, we're moving on from discussing rooms or places in a school to discussing school staff. Now, staff is a word which refers to people who work in a place. So school staff means people who work in a school. And we'll start, of course, with the head teacher or the principal. Remember, we used this word earlier. And the head teacher is someone who is in charge of the school. But this person is also helped by another one. The person who is second in charge is called a deputy or a deputy head. So deputy means they do have this responsibility of taking care of the school, but they are second in charge. Then hierarchically, what comes next is a head of department. Now, in a school, there are departments like the history department, the languages department, and the head of department is the person who runs a certain department. I'd like us to consider two words that might be a bit confusing. For instance, teacher and professor. Teacher is a word we use to describe somebody whose job is to teach in a school. I am a teacher, for instance. I teach middle school and high school. And by the way, whenever I make mistakes, I'm not afraid to admit I'm wrong. And I would like to rectify a bit of information that I've used earlier. I said that I teach English in George Coșbuc Bilingual National College, but I've just realized that college is not the right translation for the word we have in Romanian. High school is more appropriate because in English, college means university, and I don't teach at university. I teach middle school and high school. So I am in a high school, and I am a teacher. But a professor is somebody who teaches at university level, so in a university or a college. In a school, there's usually a librarian too, meaning the person who is in charge of the library. We can find a lab technician too, meaning the person who helps the science teachers prepare their experiments. And there's always a caretaker. A caretaker is a person whose job is to take care of the school. Caretaker comes from take care. They're just put together and they form a noun. So they take care of the school building in itself, but also deal with repairs or maybe cleaning, whatever is necessary around the school. Now I'd like us to consider this question. What do we call a person who's a specialist in these subjects? Somebody who's very good at architecture is called an... Rebecca?
Architect.
Architect. Good. Somebody who is a specialist in biology is called, Ayan?
A biologist.
Ah, right, very good. Somebody who has specialized in chemistry is called...
That would be a chemist.
right. Somebody who specializes in engineering is...
An engineer.
Excellent, right. For geography, the specialist is called...
A geographer.
right, very good. From history, the specialist is...
Historian.
Excellent. From mathematics, the word is...
Mathematician.
The person who specializes in philosophy is called a...
Philosopher.
right. Somebody who specializes in physics is...
A physician.
A physician. If you remember, there's a difference between being a physician and a physicist. A physician is another word for doctor. So the person
Yes.
who specializes in physics is a physicist. All right, and the last one to you, Ayan, psychology, and the person is a
Psychologist.
psychologist. Very good. Now all the words you mentioned are written here, and it's easy to notice that most of the time, starting from the subject, we add a certain ending to form the noun person designating the specialist in that area. For instance, you mentioned that from biology, the specialist is a biologist. So what did you add to the word biology? What's the ending you added there? Biology ends in Y, biologist. The ending is IST. Okay, the same for chemistry and chemist. To form engineer, actually you didn't add anything, it was just doing away with the ing. Geography and geographer meant adding er. From history, the ending is
An.
right. Y becomes I, so IAN. The same for mathematics, mathematician. Philosopher means adding er, just as it happens with geographer. And IST, again, the ending for physics, physicist, psychology, psychologist. So if we want to form the noun person starting from a subject, the most common endings we can add are IST, IAN, and of course ER, which is probably the most frequently used. We're going to practice a bit more vocabulary. And this time there are sentences in which there are words in italics with a slash. It means that of the two words, you need to choose only one, because only one completes the sentence in a logical and grammatical way. There's an example at the beginning. To apply or to revise for the scholarship, students need to fill out a comprehensive application form. So they need to complete an application form. In order to complete the sentence in a logical way, we're going to choose the word to apply. When you apply for something, be that a job or a scholarship, there's usually an application form to complete. So the word to choose here is apply, to apply for. We're going to do this together in the same way. Rebecca, will you start, please?
After years of hard work and dedication, she finally graduated with a bachelor's degree in psychology.
Very good choice. Okay, so specialize in something means that you become a professional by studying that subject, but when you graduate, it means you've studied for some time and have received some kind of title. The title of a bachelor happens when you graduate from university. Okay. Ayan, will you consider the next one, please?
With a lot of studying and preparation, he managed to pass his physics exam with flying colors.
All right, with flying colors is a phrase we use in order to describe somebody who's very successful. And it's not only about exams, it could be used in other contexts as well. To pass an exam means that you have taken the exam and you are successful. You can take an exam, you can have an exam, but also sit an exam. So sit is the same as take an exam. Back to you, Rebecca.
Despite his initial doubts, her dedication and hard work allowed her to make the grade and earn a spot on the school's basketball team.
So your choice is to make the grade. Indeed, of course, we don't make trouble, but make the grade in this context. Ayan, please.
The teacher provided a helpful...
What's a handout? Because that's the right answer. It's a worksheet. So the teacher provided a handout, meaning a worksheet, outlining the main points of today's lesson.
Oh.
Ayan, maybe you can read the next one too.
She hired a private tutor to help her improve her writing skills for the upcoming English test.
Of course, a private tutor, so somebody who teaches you privately, not a principal. Rebecca?
The government decided to grant financial aid to low-income families to make higher education more accessible.
Very good. To grant aid of any kind. And the last one, Ayan?
The university increased the tuition fees for the upcoming academic year.
Good. Tuition means education we're offered that we pay for, so tuition fees. Excellent. When we graduate from high school, we go to university. In Britain, this is called the first degree. And we become a BA, which is short for Bachelor of Arts or Humanities, if we study, for instance, a subject like psychology or languages, like I did. Or a BS, which means we've graduated from science subjects, like, I don't know, being an engineer, being an economist. There is an option after university, and that's called a master's degree. You may get an MA, Master of Arts, or an MC, Master of Science. And there are still options after a master's degree. That would be the PhD. So after years of innovative research culminating in publishing a thesis, you may become a doctor of philosophy, PhD for short. I will now make the difference between essays, dissertations, and theses. Now, when we're in school, we're asked to write essays, be they, I don't know, 300 word long or, I know, maybe even 1,000, but they're not that big. A dissertation is something we write at the end of a longer course of study. For instance, when we get our first degree or our master's degree, whereas thesis implies not just being a very long dissertation, but it also includes research and innovation. It should be original. The word graduate can be pronounced in two ways, and that's because we pronounce the noun in a certain way, but the verb in a different way. So we say, for instance, to graduate from university, and that's the verb, but the person is called a graduate. And we're now going to listen to a person talking about their experience of school in the past. As you listen, I'd like you to decide whether these are true or false. Let's just listen.
School was very different when I was young. We had to wear a school uniform every day. Our uniforms were simple: a white shirt, a navy blue skirt or pants, and black shoes. There were no colorful clothes or casual outfits allowed. The teachers were strict, and they used to write on the blackboard with chalk. We didn't have smart boards or computers in every classroom like students do now. In those days, we didn't have fancy backpacks with wheels. We carried our books and notebooks in our hands or in old-fashioned bags. Our homework was written in cursive handwriting, and we used ink pens instead of pencils. We didn't have the internet to look up information, so we just relied on library books and encyclopedias. During recesses, we would play traditional games like tag and jump rope. There were no smartphones or tablets to distract us. We had to use payphones if we wanted to call our parents after school. And if we needed to do research for a project, we had to spend hours at the library searching through books and magazines. Looking back, even though things were simpler then, We learned a lot and had a lot of fun. School may be different now, but the memories of those days will always stay with me.
All right. So the first sentence is true or false, Rebecca?
It is true.
True, they had to wear uniforms. When I went to school, I also wore a uniform. The second one is, Ayan?
False.
False. The third one, Rebecca?
This one's true.
Ayan, for the next one?
Next one is true.
True. And the last one, Rebecca?
It's false. They had a lot of fun.
They had a lot of fun. This is what the speaker says. Now, when the speaker talks about school in the past, he actually talks about things that happened in the past as a routine, and he uses lots of past simple. There are alternatives, however, to expressing habits in the past. We can use used to, for instance, followed by an infinitive. The teachers were strict and they used to write on the blackboard with chalk. When we use used to, it generally means it doesn't happen anymore. But we can also use would. Pay attention to this one, because would should be followed by an action verb only. During recess, we would play traditional games like tag and jump rope, the speaker said. So these are the three ways in which we can talk about the past. Past simple, used to, and would, but only with an action verb. And we're going to wrap up this lesson today by practicing the three ways in which we can refer to past habits by doing this rephrase. Rebecca, would you like to do the first one, please?
Sure. When I was young, I went to volleyball practice 5 times a week. I used to go to volleyball practice 5 times a week.
Ayan, will you do the next one too?
As a child, he used to go to the library twice a week after school. When he was young, he would go to...
Yes, there you go. Okay, so today, while talking about school, we also revised past habits. Thank you once more for joining me, Rebecca and Diane, and here's goodbye to you.
Bye.
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 As for you people watching us at home, remember you can watch these videos again and again on YouTube. Take your time to go through the explanations and do the exercises on your own. Until next time, bye-bye.